And I think it's important to note that, originally this day was not the New Year.
Right, we just sang Mayafe Hayom Shana Tovah, Happy New Year, good year. And originally this was not the New Year. This was not the New Year until the 3rd century of the Common Era. This is actually the 7th month of the Hebrew calendar which is on a lunar calendar. It's the 7th month. So what is this day that we're celebrating as the New Year? So we call it the spiritual New Year because that's exactly what it is. It's a renewal of remembering who we are, and it's originally called the day of the sounding of the shofar, the day of the sounding of the shofar. And it's really important to understand the myth story that opens to this day and understand how we got here and, metaphorically what that means in our own spiritual unfolding and awakening. So the day of the shofar, we have to back up to actually the first of the year, right? Calling this the 7th month, we back up to Passover. In Passover, the Hebrew people that chose to leave Egypt, oral tradition tells us that only about 10% of the Hebrew people chose to leave enslavement. From a metaphorical standpoint, Egypt is our ego constrictions. And so that only 10% left really speaks to the challenge that we each faced in our own process of waking up. That we need the whole 100% of ourself to choose to leave our egoic enslavement to wake up. And it's hard to do. So 7 months ago, we left, the Hebrew people left their place of constriction. Egypt in Hebrew, Mitzrayim is place of narrowness, of constriction. So it's our ego. And they spent 50 days traveling to get to the bottom of Mount Sinai. And they prepare, and what do they hear? All together, all of them that left, this chaotic journey of wondering whether they've made the right decision, complaining and grumbling. They're at the base of the mountain, and then what do they hear? They hear the blast of the shofar. They hear the blast of the shofar in sound and color. Essentially, it's a wild, mind-blowing psychedelic trip. It was to reach this awakening that we speak of, that is our birthright, that is our human potential. We actually have to get out of our mind. So this sound, this blasting, blasts us out of our ego constrictions, our mind that keeps us bound. And enlightenment, the whole people are enlightened in this one moment. And I like to think that there was actually no sound at all on the outside, that this sounding was this wild waking up from within. But that's the first shofar blast that we're talking about here. And then Moshe goes up the mountain to have his 40-day communion with the unbounded consciousness, that which is beyond time and space, and left the people in an enlightened state for 40 days. And there they were for 39 and a half days enlightened. Bliss, joy, non-causal peace. They were there, fully embodied and enjoying the whole experience of being alive. And then they forgot. Suddenly it was like, whoa, like Moshe's been gone a really long time.
Will he ever come back?
I don't know what's really happening. How are we in the middle of I'm wondering if we've made a mistake.
Right.
And they become constricted. They forget. And this is our human process in our own life. Again, this is a story, whether it's accurate historically or not, is irrelevant. It's a myth story that speaks to our own awakening. We forget. We have tastes, we have moments of remembering, opening to that awe that we are, and then we forget. And so on the 39th and a half day, they forget, and in their fear of separation and isolation, they create, actually, oral tradition, I must say, says that only the men made a golden calf, that the women still held a higher energy. women, we aren't told that story, and it's really important that we hear that the men were so afraid that they forgot the power within them. They forgot that inner source is here, right here. And they built a golden calf to worship. And of course, you know the story unfolds. Moshe comes down and goes, what happened? I left you in an enlightened state, and now you're worshiping an object that has no power. You've forgotten your own power. And he spends about 42 days with them, going through a period of rectification. And then he leaves once again for his second 40-day journey up the mountain. And so they're in this period that we are in now, this 40-day period that started 30 days ago, the month of Elul, of really realizing, like, wow, I tasted enlightenment. I totally forgot. I forgot. And I became constricted and a little defensive and a little protective. And Moshe set me straight, and here I am in this month of Elul. I really want to take a look at what constricts me. What are the patterns that I've held my whole life that bind me to the ego that constricts me from knowing a fuller self? So that's a 30-day process of this 40-day journey we're on. This 40-day journey from Elul to Yom Kippur is really a ceremonial journey that represents our lifetime journey, because we go from remembering to forgetting to going, oh, I forgot. What do I need to look at there? And that was the month of Elul. It's an ongoing process. What are the patterns that make me stuck? What are the identities I hold that are false, that prevent me from knowing my fuller, truer self? And so there they are. For 30 days, they're going, what happened? And how did we forget? And then they hear the shofar. And today is the second time they heard the shofar. The first time they woke up. They were at the base of Mount Sinai, and they woke up, and they knew, beyond their mind, they knew who they were. Then they forgot, and today they hear that sound again, and they go, oh yeah, I remember now. I remember who I am. And that is what opens the 10 days of awe, the sounding of the shofar, so that we can remember who we are. It breaks up sound, breaks up old patterns. That's what we need to do, break up old patterns, so that we're not trying to find awe. We're not on any journey to get somewhere. We are trying to remember what we've covered up with the muck of our egoic constriction. So it's right here, and the shofar is here to remind us.